It's a sunset May 29th.
All right, look forward to it. Mark it on your calendar. By the way, me and my husband fight about Welcome to New York. He says the song is garbage, and I tell him he's an idiot. It's a great song. That's one of our greatest fights.
Really?
Welcome to New York.
That's an odd thing.
It is a good song.
That's an odd thing to argue over. But I would say when you're like a father of 4-year-old, you know that song because it's in Secret Life of Pets.
And it's
that I have watched nonstop for months now.
Over and over and over. Hey, thanks for staying with us here on Weather Underground, or as we like to call it, the Secret Life of Meteorologists. I'm Alex Wilson. Have freezing rain being reported across the region, here across parts of north central Arkansas, and then down into south central parts of Missouri, including Springfield. That's where we've got a temperature of 32. You look outside, it looks a lot like rain, but as we look at what's on the surface, mailbox, your car if it's off, the leaves, the bushes, all of this is going to be coated with that glaze of ice. So got to watch for that. If your temperature is close to freezing and it's raining in your area, I want you to be watching that very, very closely. The setup has been like this. Our moisture coming in out of the Gulf of Mexico, cold air at the surface, and that stays fairly close to the ground. Cold air is dense, so it's going to take some time to erode that out. So you have cold air at the surface, warm, moist air over it. You have rain falling into cold air and, unfortunately, freezing on contact. So a high possibility or probability of 1/10 of an inch or more when it comes to ice here across sections of south central and southeastern Missouri. And that zone would generally, during a year, see 3 to 4 days of freezing rain. Higher amounts as we get up into all the elevation there in the northeast. You get those valleys where that cold air pools, Mike, and those can be some of the most susceptible, but obviously no lacking for icy precip in the part of the country where we see it once again out of this system.
It seems like every single storm the last month or so has brought the ice.
Kind of sticking with a trend. We're sticking with what we know in this part of the country. There's our colder air aloft, so air cold enough that we're at least getting snow across portions of, say, northern Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota, parts of Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. And as we put the future forecast into motion, you can see these same areas will stick with the same weather as we finish off the week. There's late Thursday. Now we get you into early Friday, Friday afternoon. Now we begin to see things dry out in Minneapolis, Des Moines, Kansas City. Late Friday, still have the snow coming down in Chicago. Not until Saturday do we see it end for you. So it's going to take some time. The good news is we're not looking at crazy heavy rates or huge totals, or I should say, or thus huge. Not expecting huge totals. 5 to 8 inches, about as high as they'll go. So a ½ foot possible. But remember, this is going to be over the span of a few days. Fargo, you're the one spot across this region that has been running well above average for the season since September 1st, 13.2 inches above average. In a place like Chicago, where we've been right on average, you can expect 3 to 5 inches out of this event into the weekend. Well, still to come on the show, sea levels are rising in South Florida, so really
that kind of damage. And we are learning that you can build homes stronger to withstand even tornado damage, more so than they have been. So I think not resigning ourselves to the current level of damage is a mindset that we can get into that could directly answer your question in a positive way to lessen the overall damage and then lessen the cost.
We've seen that our Hurricane Michael storm there, our home in Panama or Mexico Beach that withstood. We've just been showing you some video of the Mississippi River flooding. That was between March,
where we got the heavy snow, it melted early, and then it just continued to rain afterwards. You couldn't have asked for a trifecta in conjunction like that would have caused this.
Yeah, and it's happening more and more often, and here we are. We're about to head into the spring flood season, so buckle up.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dr. Knapp, thanks. We've got much more ahead on Weather Underground. New reports zeroing in on a growing problem in Florida, sea level rise. See how it's eroding the value of the state's homes and businesses.